Hey, I'm somebody who wants to start working out and see if I have, a good body structure for bodybuilding. But I don't know anything about nutrition. I don't know anything about protein and carbohydrates. Um, Working out, I see guys in the gym and stuff. Maybe I can ask them. I don't want to hire a trainer because I don't have the money. So listen, I looked this up. If I was somebody like that, I looked this up in 20 minutes. Okay, Harvard Education says carbohydrates provide the body with glucose, which is converted to energy used to support body functions and physical activity. Proteins. Proteins are made up of a chemical building block called amino acids. Try to eat protein source within 30 minutes after a workout. I used to take a meal with me because I did not like protein powders. It's not FDA approved. I'm not trusting somebody. Dexter said this to me one time. He said, dude, I'm not going to do liquid eggs. I'll tell you why. How much water's in that? I know this egg right here, how much protein that has. 6 grams of protein, amino acids. I know what it has. It has BCAAs in it. I know, but I don't know how much diluted this egg white stuff is. So, yes. Okay. Let's look at this. The meat source, okay? Let's see. Meat has more protein than eggs. I looked that up. It was simple. Pretty easy. Now, BCAAs, branched chain amino acids, are present in all protein containing food. Eggs have all of the essential amino acids which can be easily digested and absorbed. Absorbed means it's getting into your bloodstream, going to the muscles, repairing them. All right. I was looking at Dorian Yates. I love Dorian Yates, the way he talks about, I'm not going to do the birdie sign, to trainers and so-called gurus that take your money. Now, I want you to go here. Dorian Yates, the shadow on basic information about nutrition. We can't deny Dorian Yates went one of the best. He brought the mass monsters in. He's the one that started that. He started training and learning. He kept a journal. He has a journal way back when he first started to now. When he retired. His squats, he quit doing squats because they were not made for his body structure, he said. He found out. How's a trainer going to know that? They can't feel what you feel, right? It's trial and error. You do curls, you learn. You see somebody in the gym, go and, when they're done or what, say, man, can I ask a couple questions? Like I told y'all before, 9 times out of 10, they're going to do it. That's why I learned basic nutrition. What Dorian did, he went and got books on nutrition, basic books on nutrition that told how much lean beef has protein, what's in it, such as branched chain amino acids. He got where he could read about carbohydrates, simple carbohydrates and complex carbohydrates being rice, pasta, blah, 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 simple being your sugars. Okay. It is such a joke, you guys, to be wasting your money on these trainers. I think a lot of guys and gurus are just going to take your money. I think the reason a lot of people do it to say, hey, I got a trainer. You're wasting your time. All right, I was looking at Milos a long time ago. This is like 30 years ago. He had a channel on, and there was no drop sets, nothing. Then I watched where he was training with Grimes. Every set was a drop set. What builds muscle? Heavy controlled weight. Heavy controlled weight builds muscle. Dorian was doing it where he was taking Mike Menser's, but he made it to his own. So his last set of that exercise, he would go to failure. Okay? And he had a training partner. Look back from Dorian's time, probably even before that. You didn't have the so-called gurus. You had Chad Nichols, but what he did, he made Coleman as huge as it was. Coleman's not a chemist, either, or a lot of the guys. Okay, so what's the difference between guys back then and now? They're bigger, right? Physiques aren't as shredded as they were back then. Back then, there weren't all the drugs, and guys weren't taking the drugs like they do now. Nobody was really using growth hormone that I know of. Insulin wasn't until the late 90s, middle 90s. IGF-1, it wasn't even invented by now. SARMs was around, it's been around for a long time, but I don't think anybody was using the crap. They're using basic standard. They were eating, learning what worked for them. Eat a cup of rice, go to the gym, see how your pump is. Okay? My mistake was, the biggest mistake, and I didn't know this until I quit, was I trained to failure every freaking set, man. I overtrained. When I got my biggest at 235, it was the insulin. Yeah, I was doing 10 IUs after training. I don't going to get drugs involved in this because we're talking about the food and everything else. You can use drugs, but if you don't have nutrition in place, your rest in place, your training in place, it ain't going to make no difference. And why you counting on some guy paying the money to do all that? You buy more eggs and meat. There's books, just basic books at your library. Break all your nutrition down. That's what Dorian did. I'm sorry, my mom's dog's name Yates. I was calling him. But I named him after Dorian. But Dorian, if you go, like I said, Dorian Yates, The Shadow on Basic Information About Nutrition on YouTube. Listen to what he says. I agree 1,000% with him about gurus, and I'll point them out. You got now. I don't know George Perry. I think it's more in the line of Chad Nichols. I think he is. I could be wrong. I know with Dexter, he got to eat more food and stuff because Dexter was living on protein powders, maybe 2 meals a day. His genetics will allow him. That's the other thing. If you take Bill Heath, a blind man can train Bill Heath for the Olympia and get him to win. He was less than 1% of a genetic freak, okay? Same thing with Coleman. Once he had the supplementation down and somebody showing him how to use it, he knew how to eat. He didn't need these guys to say, hey, let's do some drop sets. They come up with all these stupid systems. The FST has been around. I did a video on it. It was invented by Ann Frederick, I believe, way back when. All he did was add the number 7 and some kind of sets of pay. That crap don't work. You're reinventing the wheel and you're wasting your dad burn money. All right, let me ask you this. Grimes, right? He was with Milos for a while. He didn't do good at the Olympia, did he? No, I think he did the Arnold. I'm not sure, so I'm not recalling that. He did crap. He didn't do good at all. So they said he was doing too many contests. I think he did 3 contests that year with the Olympia. That's it. Milos was doing 72 when he retired, the shows he had done. He was competing every weekend. So why would he tell him he needs to take a break? No. What's happened is he got him on the insulin, he put him on the stuff. His body is maxed out. His genetics with the supplementation is maxed out. Okay? You'll see that with Hunter Labrada too come soon. You'll see that with, oh, come on, man. The veins in his legs and stuff. You know what I'm talking about. I can't remember. You'll see that in him because, dude, he's my height at 5'6", and he weighs, 300 pounds off season? Man, come on, what is his name, guys? You know what I'm talking about. He's a big boy. But look at him before and now and his physique 5 years ago. The genetics is not a superior thing. You look at, Branch Warren. Branch Warren did his own freaking diet. He would go kill something, and that's what he was eating. Bison or whatever. Deer. He had freezers full of it. You know what eggs do. You got a book, got it in the library, you read it, you write it down. Eggs do this. What's the best protein? What's the highest and better? A regular egg, I think grade A, has 6 grams of protein. 53% of it is not lithium. I can't say the word, but 53% of the type of protein that's in it. Eggs digest easily. Yes, they do. It just irks me that people go and pay these trainers. Look at the trainers. Look at Neil Hill. Is that his name, Neil Hill? The black guy with dreadlocks fired his butt. He's looked at him and said, dude, he did a video on it. He said, you're living in a nice place in Miami with your rent is $3,000 a month. Look at the crappy house I've got, And he quit. He got rid of him. I don't think he has anybody training him still. I need to write down these people's names. Terrible about doing that. I'm sorry, guys. But Dorian Yates stopped squatting as an amateur. Did not work for his structure, and I understand that. He had hip surgery after just a few years. He had a tear around his hip. Low volume, last set to failure. That was his stuff. Low volume, yeah. Yeah, not bunches of sets. I think he did 4 sets. It might have been the last set failure per exercise, I think. It might have been. But the point being, he didn't have a dad burn trainer. He didn't have a nutritionist. He had where he wrote stuff down in a journal and and saw what worked for him, what didn't work for him. So you got a trainer, you go to a show, it's not working for you, but this guy's done it all himself and knows everything's bypassed you because he hasn't wasted his time nor his money. I'm just telling y'all, yeah, you better, I mean, quit wasting your money on these guys. It feels good to say, I almost did with Dave Palumbo, nothing against Dave, but I almost did it for the Arnold. My problem was, my body's burnt out. I had that injury long before that in wrestling. Well, I used to wrestle in Laredo, Texas, and WCW sent me down there and learned how to work crowds. And I got all banged up because the ring is a boxing ring and it's as hard as this table. But don't waste your money as these people. Go look at that thing with Dorian Yates. See what he says. How can the guy be wrong? You know how I get motivated? Blood and guts. I watch something.